What's up, Lions fans? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 6 of the Lions Main Podcast. This week, we talk Chiefs preseason matchup, we ask our average Lions fan 5 questions, and we discuss what a winning season looks like. Once again, you can find us on X at Lions Main Pod and Instagram at Lions Main Podcast. Tune in and give us a follow.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.
So big news of the week. There was a Jake Bates snub for Lions Player of the Week. I think we all know that we were right. The three of us, me, George, Jim. Jake Bates is that guy and will help us win the championship this year. So let's just give a round of applause. I think Drew knows that he was wrong. So hey, buddy, welcome to the team.
Missed extra point.
I think Justin Tucker missed extra point yesterday, so I'm not worried about that measly 1 point. I don't know though. Well, welcome to the good side, Drew. I'm happy that you're on this team now, and that you're fully accepting of what's his name again?
Master Bates.
And I think we're gonna have to go ahead and share that photo that you made of for Master Bates to social media. I think the fans will get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Hey, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, Drew? I mean, he made all the difference in that game this past week. So, are you eating your words right now?
Listen, I think my original take was that I just want to get rid of kicking altogether. Listen, yes, did he hit a game-winning field goal? Yes, in a preseason game. Yes, he did. But the take remains I don't know how much the trajectory of the game changed. We hit a couple first and second quarter field goals. Let me just say that if we had gone for it on fourth down, those would have turned into touchdowns.
And that's a fair point.
Butterfly flaps its wings. Who knows?
Exactly. What's that called? The ripple effect? Some shit like that. What's that called?
It's literally called
the butterfly effect.
Ah.
Oh, God.
I feel like I should have got that one. It's almost as bad as Jacob was at answering those questions 2 weeks ago. So I feel like you, Jacob. You're not alone.
My best foot forward, just like you did. Sometimes it doesn't work out,
Exactly.
That was his best foot?
I think it was his left foot.
That
was a tough foot.
Yeah, but before we get into those questions, I actually got one more bone to pick. How come you never answer my phone calls, George?
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. I called you yesterday. How come you don't answer my phone calls?
I was busy yesterday.
Busy guy. Okay.
He's busy after the pod.
What are you talking about?
He sent a text message saying he's busy after the pod. I got a question, dude. What are you doing after the pod? What are you doing after the recording?
Too much. Drew, you worry too much. Don't be checking my calendar. I ain't checking yours. Calm down.
Okay. Jim's getting riled up. So for those fans that aren't tracking, about 2 weeks ago, we met up with our Lions fan extraordinaire, the most average Lions fan you could possibly think of, Jacob Smith. We welcomed him back on the podcast to join me, George, Jim, and Drew to talk a little bit of Lions talk. So 2 weeks ago, we answered 5 Lions history questions that we think every fan should know. And George walked away at a 60%. In case you guys also aren't tracking. Wait, was I wrong with that, George?
You said George walked away with a 60%?
Sorry. Jacob walked away with a 60%. You guys look alike. I mean, you guys are essentially brothers, so it's hard to tell you two apart. Anyways, so also, here are the rules of the competition. So Jacob is going to be asked a series of 5 questions every time he joins the podcast for a total of 25 questions. Now, us on the podcast, the regulars, we took bets on if he would score below or above 60%. Drew and George said that he would score above a 60%. Myself and Jim said he would score below. And he's currently sitting at 60. So before we get into these next round of 5 questions, Jacob, do you have anything that you want to say to the group? You feeling comfortable? You feeling good?
Calm, cool, and collected. Let's see what you got for me today.
All right. Sounds like you're ready to party. George, you have any words of encouragement for your boy?
Jacob, like you said, as you did last time, put your best foot forward. All you can do is your best. That's all we can ask for. So good luck, Jacob.
That's right.
Damn, I forgot that George believes in participation trophies.
Hey, it's a new age.
How much hardware do you have, Drew?
First place.
How much hardware do you have?
Hey, if you're not a state champion, he said sit down.
Yeah, pipe down, Pipsqueak.
Hey, I'll let you know when I win a ring this weekend.
God willing.
Hey,
God
good
willing.
luck, though, seriously.
One more thing to add. So the loser of this challenge, which will inevitably be Drew and George, they have to do something. It might be a little easier for Drew, but it'll probably be a little more difficult for George as he hasn't hiked up his running shoes in a while. But the loser of this competition is going to run in the Detroit Free Press Marathon, but the smaller version, the 5K. So 3.2 miles, and that's going to take place on October 19th, 2024. So get up for that, George.
Is it a 5K 3.1?
I think it's
Doesn't matter.
3.2.
Whatever it is, it's too much running for me. So, Jacob, please, for the love of God, do well today.
I don't know, George. I think cardio is in your future. I think it'd be good to get in shape, run around. Seems like you're going to be kissing someone more often now. I'd say it's good to get out there and run.
Oh, well, I could probably do it easily. I think, how hard could it be?
Right. You're the pinnacle of health.
Have you ever
All right.
seen the ultra?
I'm not that healthy.
You ever seen this is maybe a tangent, but you ever seen these ultra runners that put Band-Aids on their nipples because their nipples bleed?
Yeah,
You
no,
ever seen that
my nipples chafe when I run.
Shit's
Like
wild.
long distance.
Yeah, shake through the shirt.
It like
I thought
moves.
that was like a BDSM thing.
Hey, shout out to Jim.
Thank you.
All right, so Jacob, first question. I don't know if you can get this one. It's going to be a tough one.
No, either.
How many Super Bowl titles have the Detroit Lions won?
One.
Is that your final answer? Lock it in.
I'm locking it in. They've won one.
Jacob, you
Had
are
won at least one.
you are incorrect. Drew, do you want to go ahead and give him the real answer?
Are you being serious, Jacob?
Have they won zero? Have they won two?
It's zero, Jacob.
What kind of shoes are you
Yes.
going to buy, Drew?
Jacob, yes.
Drew, what kind of shoes are you buying?
I would have think
Jesus.
what we discovered last week that the team started in 1932. You're saying in like 90 some odd years they haven't won a single title.
So actually, and this is what you might be thinking of. It was called like the World Championship or something beforehand, and they won
Right.
that championship the year prior to the era of the Super Bowl. And so,
I mean,
in the Super Bowl era, which is since like the 60s or 50s, I can't be exact on it,
Jim?
we have won zero.
What are you asking me?
Yeah, when was the Super Bowl era?
First Super Bowl was in 1967.
There we go. So prior
so
to
that's got to be worth half a point. That's got to be worth half a point.
It's worth negative 2 points.
That's not worth
wrong.
the point.
I don't
That's
even
not
think
worth-
the
that
number's
is right.
I don't think the number is right either.
It's wrong, buddy. But let's move on to the next one. All right, over one. All right, what division do the Detroit Lions play in?
No shot.
So I'll give you the conference. Okay, the conference is the NFC, right? So what division within that conference do they play in?
So they're in the NFC. And it
In
could
the
be,
NFC.
could be a cardinal direction,
The NFC upper.
They're in the NFC something.
Usually it's a,
Yes,
In the NFC North.
there we go, Jacob. Hell yeah.
For the record, there was a little bit of back alley dealing with there. But go ahead. 1-1. 1-1.
what are you talking about?
All right, 1-1. 3 more.
I knew
All
that
right.
one fair and square.
Exactly.
King of
You
them all.
just needed to jog your memory. Okay. Question 3. You had a similar question last week. Who is the Lions' all-time leading receiver? Receptions.
Receiver.
Yes.
I think I answered this already, right? I already said the guy's name not last week. Week prior.
I will jog your memory. So 2 weeks ago, you said the question was, what was the Lions' all-time leading rusher?
Right.
Don't tell
rushing
him
the
who
ball.
he said.
Right? You said a name. This time is who is the Lions' all-time leading receiver? Drew's face says it all.
Well, I'm gonna go with Megatron.
Megatron.
There we go.
Different person. Drew's face said it all.
You're doing great, Jacob. You're doing great.
Okay, and this question here. So I'm going to ask it to you, and I'm going to ask the guys how specific you need to be here because this question can go either way. All right. What are the team colors of the Detroit Lions? I'll give you a hint. There's two.
Yeah, it has to be the actual colors. It can't be
two colors, and you got to be specific.
Yeah. Is it like them where they say maize instead of gold?
Yes.
It's exactly like that. It's a certain Pantone.
Definitely heard of it.
Honestly, if you can just get the Pantone of
a certain color.
Yeah.
Pantone.
Like the name of the.
It's a certain.
I'll say
the
Pantone. The certain blue. It's a certain blue.
Whoa.
Oh, come on.
That's a given. That's a given.
All right, wait. Let's see how he does. Let's see how he does. Come on. Everyone stop talking. Let's see how he does.
Bleed blue? I don't know what else to say.
Where's the timer on this? It's a timer.
No timer.
Jacob, I think you're going to have to submit.
I don't know. I'm not going to guess a Pantone.
No, hold on. Jacob, you know the colors of the Lions.
He knows one of them.
All right, name the other colors then.
Silver.
Okay, silver.
There we go.
Now you have 10 seconds. You have 10 seconds to get the other one.
Come on. 10 seconds.
He's already had 2 minutes. Yeah,
this is the most spoon-fed baby. You guys better size up those ASICs because
cyan.
That was a hell of an answer. I like that, but no, it is. It is Honolulu blue.
Honolulu blue. You know, I would just say that rings a bell.
Yeah, rings a bell. All right, Jacob, your final question for today. Who was the Lions' starting quarterback for the 2023 season?
That was last season. Yeah.
Hey.
That's Jared Goff.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Jacob, do you know what you're...
Hey, listen,
tell me...
You hear that? Those are Band-Aids going on your nipples.
Damn. Okay. Jacob, can you tell me what percentage you think you're sitting at right now?
Well, that was another 3 out of 5, right?
Yeah,
but 3 out of 5.
Yeah,
I'm holding my average here, 60%.
60%, and the more I think about it, I think 60% was the perfect cutoff because you're going to be towing that line the entire time, and the questions get harder, so you better be studying.
I better study up. Well, we got to keep the people on the edge of their seat.
Exactly. And I think you're going to do just that.
Yeah, you've learned a lot since the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
I've prepared as much as the average line.
The Super Bowl thing got me riled up.
I would have thought by now they've had at least one.
So
the Lions used to be a powerhouse team back in the day, right?
Back when they were still driving Plymouths and Model Ts.
Back during the Korean War.
You're asking me history questions. That's valid.
Fair enough. You are a history buff, so.
Yeah, that is true. And I liked how you got closer to the year they were founded this week. Much closer than this week. I think it was 30, but 2 years away versus 13. That's progress.
Okay.
60%. Jake, this is great. You're telling that line.
I'm the average Lions fan. What can I say?
Love it.
Here's the thing. Once the games are on TV and I see a little bit more of it in my field of vision, I'll be able to pick these questions off a little bit better. Because right now, I'm going off of the lint in the bottom of the pocket. That's what I'm working with.
So looking at the game with the Kansas City Chiefs this past weekend, I think the glaring thing that stands out to all of us is the quarterback play. Nate Sudfeld, 14 for 27, 196 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Hendon Hooker was the only other quarterback to play. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a little bit of Drake Fromm. I know we were all hoping. Hendon Hooker was 12 of 15, 150 yards. And then on the rushing end, he was 5 carries for 11 yards and one glorious touchdown. So what are you guys' thoughts on the quarterback play? I know that and myself, I'm leaning towards Hendon Hooker. What are you guys' thoughts on Nate Sudfeld and his performance?
I'm not quite sure what more we need to see out of Sudfeld. Basically, it appears that if it comes down to Sudfeld, we are doomed. And I'm not quite sure what more we need to see. Hooker's definitely better. At this rate, put Jake Fromm in there. And Sudfeld can ride the pine. I'd see any rookie quarterback out of a D1 college over Sudfeld at this point. I get he's good in the film room, but I mean, get a young blood in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I think, not too similar or dissimilar from preseason game 1. He just looked scared in the pocket. He got he got cat feet back there as the rush was coming, and it was so evident that he was scared and having trouble getting the ball out. I counted at least 3 passes that were notably really far behind the receiver. And it's night and day. Just like game 1, when Hooker came in, just able to move the ball, able to get outside the pocket. I loved obviously the play where he had the touchdown run. His eyes were downfield the entire time until he passed the line of scrimmage. And I think that shows maturity and ability to go through progressions. I'm not going to try to read too much into a single play, but I think that this has real potential to be a playmaker in this league.
No, and you said everything that I kind of wanted to focus on there. Last week we were and I think we do this because they both played. We were comparing Nate Sudfeld to Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker brings a playmaking ability that even Jared Goff doesn't bring. And so when you hit on that playmaking, hey, go through your reads, that maturity there, and then tuck the ball and run, that right there is one of the most exciting things about this team. George, you said in a previous conversation that we had that it's almost, as a fan and as someone who wants to see Hendon Hooker do well and play, you're almost kind of disappointed because you know that Jared Goff is so good. His production, since 2017, he's the league leader in yards. He's good. Love the Lions fans to tell you he's not. Jared Goff is good. The fact that Hendon Hooker might not be able to see the field throughout the season is quite disappointing.
It is. It's almost like you'd rather see him on a different team if you're a fan of football, just to watch him play. But honestly, it's great to have him as our backup. And God forbid anything happened to Goff, I think suddenly our offense is totally different too. So it'd be hard to game for other teams.
Can I pose a question and put this out on Twitter earlier? But do you think we see any design plays for Hooker this season, designed run plays or I don't know, trick plays? Do you think he gets in any situation other than if Goff goes down or we're up by a lot?
So one thing I will say, just because he does have the ability to run, I don't think that he's going to be as effective in a trick play or a drawn-up play where he's running the ball. If we're in a position where maybe it's we needed the dual threat option, I could see him coming out for that. So a read option pass type, going through all 3 of those progression reads. I could see something like that. I know that Ben Johnson would probably want to see something along those lines, maybe near the goal line. So something, speaking in circles, but something potentially like that. No designed runs, though. And so going into preseason game 3, how do we think that should be broken up for the quarterbacks? Who do we want to see play throughout the game?
I think Hendon Hooker, obviously should play a good chunk of the game. We brought him in, spent a lot of capital on him. The reason I read that Sudfeld was playing is a lot of they're still trying to figure out obviously who wide receiver 3 is going to be, or maybe that's not entirely accurate because I still think Khalif Raymond's the 3rd best receiver. I think they're looking for that outside guy, but I think ultimately they're really just looking for who's going to be the 5 or 6 guys on the roster. And they allegedly, what I read was that they wanted Sudfeld because he allegedly can kind of do all that kind of check down throws, make a lot of the basic throws. That was at least the idea. Is Hendon Hooker's a little more raw, has a little more talent, can make some of the harder throws, but not necessarily some of the routine throws that kind of, you would expect to get from Jared Goff. Not saying Jared Goff is only routine throws, but he there's a lot of kind of intermediary routes. I think we saw what we needed to see. I don't get how any receiver is getting any benefit out of Nate Sudfeld at this point. Not saying he's atrocious as an NFL player, but he's clearly not our actual backup. He's our 3rd string clipboard guy. So, I don't see why Jake Fromm doesn't get a little bit of a look. At worst, he's a practice squad guy, but he's a young guy, maybe has some upside as a 3rd string, kind of take over for Sudfeld and be a more exciting Nate Sudfeld. But honestly, it should be Hendon Hooker for 3 quarters, if not more, unless they're worried about his health or something. The more reps he gets, he's either going to present himself to the rest of the 31 teams in the NFL as a viable starter, a really good backup option, and be a good trade asset, or he's just going to be a great backup for a couple years. And, if Goff ever goes down, he can step in and hopefully keep the ships, steer the ship. I don't think the goal is for him to take over as a long-term starter because he's close
definitely
to
not.
Jim, let me ask a question. What day is the next preseason game?
I don't know.
It's next Saturday. It's next Saturday.
Is it the preseason, like the days that? I'm sorry, you probably have a point, but they just have random.
If Nate Sudfeld isn't serving me French fries as I'm going through the McDonald's drive-thru on the way to the bar by next Saturday, I'm done with this team.
Yeah, this guy. That's a weird take from Gold Pouncy saying that Sudfeld's there to give depth looks to receivers. Is it suggesting that like Hendon Hooker can't provide that? It's pretty wild.
I don't think that was his take. I think that was him saying that's what he's heard, and he even agreed with you. He was saying like that doesn't make any sense to him.
Okay, good.
If we're letting Sudfeld try to put game film together to give to other teams, like I respect that. That's the only thing the only value I see in having him on the field is just a gift to him.
Yeah. That would be honestly like some of the smartest coaching tactics you could probably come up with. Like they're studying Nate Sudfeld.
Let somebody else take him.
Right, please.
Oh, so here's the exact take real quick, just in case you want to edit what I said earlier, and then we can move on. But Pouncey said Hendon Hooker should start the preseason final. He basically was talking about why the Lions like Nate Sudfeld, but he said, you're not learning anything new about Sudfeld at this point. And if the argument is that Sudfeld's ability to read through his progressions would help the staff evaluate its top group of receivers, his performance hasn't done that. So, yeah, basically a more eloquent way of saying he was supposed to be giving people, the receivers, like a good look of like, hitting the first, second, and third options, but he cheeked it up. So,
yeah. I think that's kind of one of the big things that we're all looking for. I know that Drew was really impressed with Isaiah Williams and his performance in the first game. And I think he led all the receivers in catches and yardage in this last game as well. And so if Sudfeld's not going to be giving those guys looks, Isaiah Williams, DPJ, Tom Kennedy, then let's go ahead and, like you said, do Hendon for 3 quarters and then maybe get Fromm in there for a quarter. I mean, you signed the guy. You might as well work him out and see what he can do. Based on some of the performances of what we have seen from some of these receivers, do you guys think that Isaiah Williams did enough to make the 53-man roster?
I think he did enough to make the 53-man roster. I will be really eager to see what his final cuts look like with on the offense, just to see, are they going to keep an extra running back? Are they going to keep an extra wide receiver? I think it's really interesting now first Ben Johnson a couple weeks ago said that they want some size at wide receiver 4. And then Dan Campbell in the presser after the game said the same thing along the same lines, and that they kind of have a surplus in the slot right now. So Isaiah Williams, he's 5'10", 185. That's hardly that's I think George is bigger than that. And I'm not sure that George can be out there playing the X, but DC did say that they'd throw him out there and see how he does.
Watch him out, Drew. I'd cross your shit.
I would love to see that. Drew lined up at corner and George at receiver.
Yeah, I'm gonna smash his shit and then take off.
Yeah, I like that. I think you would do that too.
Hey,
no rebuttal.
George, whose shit are you smashing later?
I thought it was kissing.
He's blushing. I don't think that Isaiah. So I like the performance from Isaiah Williams over the last 2 weeks, and then like you said, his size 5'10", 185, bro. That's just Khalif Raymond.
Yeah.
Right. And does he look better than Khalif? No, he fumbled on that punt return, and I, for some reason, was infuriated during a preseason game. I don't know why, but
I fumbled the what's it called, the kick return.
I think it was a punt return.
There was multiple fumbles from the returners. The returners looked terrible. The Chiefs' returners look good. Our returners look terrible.
Yeah.
Outside of Aki.
I think
they should put J-Mo back there.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good returner back in Alabama, so I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. I think that is Khalif's spot, and so to remove it, to dethrone him, you're going to have to
A lot
show
of times,
something.
you'll notice with college, they'll switch that guy, which is always fun. I always like that. At least at Central, that's what they do. Each game, it almost seemed like it was different, unless somebody was doing pretty well. They'd give somebody else a shot. So I wish we wouldn't be always doing Khalif Raymond. I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong, but like, give somebody else a shot. Let's see. Unlike the wind.
Yeah. Speaking of somebody I wouldn't mind seeing back there in the returns, especially during the regular season, Vaki, dude. I think he's a clear running back 4 on the roster. And if he's got to be on kickoff, kick return, punt return, I think you got to get that kid on the field as many times as possible. Like, he was one of those bright spots in the last 2 games.
I agree. You got to get that baby boy out there. That young man, you got to get him out there. No, he's good. No, I agree. I'm sorry. He was great at receiving this past game. The running game I wasn't taking off for many people. I feel like the NFL preseason, the lines are all atrocious, but he looked awesome as a receiving threat, and it's all upside from here for Vaki. Like, if that's your running back 4, I feel like the Lions have like low key probably a top 3, if not top number 1 running back room in the entire NFL. Like, the top 2, I think, is already the best tandem, and then Craig Reynolds is your 3. He's like, the thing about the Lions is they all have, like, all the players on the Lions that are depth guys aren't just their position. They are versatile. And I think Brad Holmes drafted Vaki for that reason, because he can do almost everything on the football field. He's a football player. He's like an actually good version of all those kids on like the JV and varsity team that like play running back, receiver, safety, linebacker.
I feel
they're
attacked.
like, well, no, I'm not talking about your level. I'm talking about more from experience of all the guys who quit after JV like me, because they weren't quite bad enough to get made fun of, but weren't good enough to actually ever see the field.
Those are called glue guys, Jim.
No,
we love those guys.
Well, the glue is from putting your helmet back together after the backup offensive lineman let you get smashed into the dirt. But
yeah, that's what it actually stands for.
You get those guys are the tackle dummies, and like, we love those guys. Those guys are cool. Those guys are cool.
Those guys are out.
Oh man, you bring up a good point. Our running back room looks phenomenal, and I think that we saw a few different writers or fake analysts on Twitter were saying that the Lions might keep 5 running backs on the roster. And so I think,
didn't Jim say that last week?
Hey, did you send that in the text, or did you say that on the podcast?
He said that on the pod last week. I'm pretty sure.
Damn, like when you come up with a thought and you think it's like your own organic thought, and you're like, damn, this is really going to be a good one. That was one of those moments right there. Well, I'm going to give a shout out quote to Jim right there, because you guys all know he's a favorite from the podcast. So shout out to the guy. I don't even know if
I actually said that, but fuck yeah, excuse my language. Hell yeah.
Shout out to the boy.
I will say shout out Nate Sudfeld for not even being able to look past 10 yards down the field, which is why Vaki got all those catches underneath.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. If there is fantasy football for preseason, someone should be taking Vaki in the first round.
Yeah, I think I'm going Vaki first round, Hendon Hooker second round, and just call it good there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anybody else going past those rounds to draft. So something that looked a little bit better from the first game. I mean, the first game, George, we were talking about the O-line looked pretty horrendous. And I think that they had a little bit better of a showing. I didn't see any glaring errors. It didn't look like Sudfeld was rushed or chicken legs, whatever you called him, Drew, as much as he was in the first game. The running wasn't great, but we were able to get some passes off and actually make a showing on offense this week, put up 24 points as opposed to the 3.
Yeah,
anybody have anything to say?
I wasn't sick to my stomach watching the O-line this past week, as I was the week before. So I guess it is
a win. And Sorsdahl was the one I was disappointed week 1, just because he's the only guy that we actually spent draft capital on that's like meaningful draft capital. But he looked better this week.
Agreed. And I think one of the position groups that we do want to talk more about, because we did see something from this game, was the defensive line. There was a little bit more of a showing from them in this Chiefs matchup. Matthew Betts did go ahead and get a sack. George, I know that's one of your guys.
Well, it was just, you see the sack and then I'm like, who is this guy? So you look a little bit more into him, and this guy's got an actual interesting story. He was the 3rd overall pick in the CFL draft in 2019. So a lot of those players, even though they get drafted to the CFL, they'll sign with an NFL team because they're, hoping to play in the NFL. So which he does sign with the Chicago Bears. It doesn't work out for him. So he ends up playing.
Fuck him.
You're right, exactly. So he ends up playing 2 seasons with the Edmonton Eskimos. And one of those, he was there for 3 years, though, because one of those was a COVID season, so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then he spends 2 seasons with the BC Bears, this is what's crazy. This past season, I should say, he recorded the most sacks by a national player in a season in the CFL, which was 18. And he was named the CFL's most outstanding defensive player and a CFL All-Star. So kind of neat that we just have him too.
Wait, the CFL has All-Stars? That's so much better than the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. I feel like that. For some reason, All-Star feels like a little like retro to me. Also, feels like the 90s.
Yeah. What is their, do you know what the name of their Super Bowl is? It's like the Grey
Cup.
The Grey Cup. Yeah.
Sounds Canadian as fuck.
Oh, good stuff there. Actually, do you know who has the most titles who has the most Grey Cup wins?
British Columbia Bears.
No, first of all, George, put some respect. I believe it's the Bearcats. So let's get that shit straight. But it was the Toronto Argonauts. Right. Oh, no, it's BC Lions. It's not even the Bearcats. It's the Lions. But no, just use some fact for you. The Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, yeah, it is the BC Lions, right? It's not the BC Bears.
Oh, that's actually an interesting little coincidence. Lion to lion.
Right, isn't it? Am I correct on that? I think I'm missing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The crazy thing is that there's actually Lions in BC and there's no Lions in Detroit.
Oh, there's Lions?
Fact check that.
Not Lions. Not Lions.
Hey, Drew, have you ever been to the Detroit Zoo? In the lion?
Does that count? That counts?
He actually got caught kissing a lion once. All right, I'm done.
The defensive line looks pretty good with our boy from the BC Lions.
Yep. So one of the showings that we did get a good look at too was the defensive backs. Kind of interesting that we went out there and did some man coverage out there. What do you think about Amika Robertson, man? I think he looks pretty good. I saw quite a few breakups, playing a lot of one-on-one out there, and I think he looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that one route to, obviously, I don't know nearly as much about actual like schematics and coverage as anybody on that team, or even probably you, Caine. But I felt like on that, I couldn't tell based on the way he was playing that play where Xavier Worthy scored, if it was actually him, if it was like a true cover zero, or if there was supposed to be safety help, or if it just got, if the zone coverage just wasn't the right coverage. So that was like the only play. And if you're getting burned by the fastest man to ever play, NFL football.
Yeah.
Other than that, he looked great. I was surprised he was playing, but I think it's just because he's our only free agent. And he's one of the only free agents that he's not Carlton Davis. He's not a for sure starter, but he's, if you watch his interviews, he's always like, I want to with the Louisiana accent. He's always like, I want to go out there. I want to compete. I'm not going to try doing a Louisiana accent. I'll leave that to Caine, but yeah, he was good.
Sound like Gambit out there.
Yeah, I thought Amika looked pretty good. Obviously looked pretty good as well. We saw him matched up against a bunch of different players. Saw him matched up against Tony at one point, Worthy another, and a few others. And I thought he showed his, I guess, diverse skill set to be able to match up in the slot, match up outside.
Yeah, we're gonna need him all. We're gonna need him all over the place. So that's good to see. So I don't know if I'd be more scared if I saw Nate Sudfeld lined up at quarterback, or if I saw Russell Wilson and Justin Fields lined up at quarterback. Were you guys even able to see a little bit of what the Steelers had done in these 2 preseason games that they played?
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing.
They look horrible. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields played the entire 4 quarters, and they put up 3 points. Horrible.
Yeah. George Pickens is going to throw a fit halfway through the season.
I know. I'm looking at preseason game 3. One of the things that I do want to see in this matchup against the Steelers, I want to see Matthew Betts go out there and get no less than 5 sacks on Justin Fields. That would be fucking epic. Make a spot on the team.
Well, I think the receivers is like the last. Obviously it's the last week for any of these depth guys to prove that they deserve that last roster spot. And I think also I'm curious to see what they do with the defensive line, the receiver room, and the true bottom of the depth kind of DBs. I feel like every other position is kind of figured out, but the receivers I feel like almost all the guys that are considered random, kind of end of the roster guys have all had like ups and downs in the preseason, or at least all different times at peak. So I think Drew's guy, Isaiah Williams, I'd like him to make the team. I liked Caden Davis. It's always good. Every NFL team should be forced to have like one scrappy white receiver, and it's got to be him or Tom Kennedy. So
Tom Kennedy, give Tom Kennedy his place. He's been on the practice squad for like 3 years. Get him on the team.
Tom Kennedy sucks.
Multi-sport athlete, played the best sport there.
I don't
some shit.
I don't believe in the Kennedys.
What sport is that?
He just so happened to be a lacrosse player. Where the hell did he play again? Bryant. So
didn't Bryant just win the national championship in lacrosse? I don't know why I know that, but that's a decent program.
I don't think they did, but they're definitely. I think we're a decent program.
You know what's crazy is that Brian is good at ultimate frisbee too. So I don't believe that they're actually serious athletes over there.
Yeah, they're good at those stupid sports.
Yeah, exactly.
They sound like they dominate in all the sports that like white dudes dominated.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the racist sports.
Yeah. Bryant just sounds like a country club, my dad's a lawyer type of name of a university.
Fuck Tom Kennedy. Get him off the team.
Like daddy's money. I bet their tuition's like $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
And they're churning out philosophy majors and art studies.
Right. And then they go work for their dad's company. Like they become the next owner, and then like Billy Madison tear it into the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
when they should be serving me French fries with Nate Sudfeld at the McDonald's drive-thru.
God willing.
No, the only thing I'm excited to see is from this last game is, I think on the defensive side of the ball, one of the players that has had one of the best camps is Brandon Joseph. Saw him force a fumble in this last game, and I kind of want to see if he's able to put a cap on his awesome preseason and solidify his spot behind Kirby. I think that if he can actually get some decent playing time, he's looked good so far. He looked good against the Chiefs number ones, and so
he did.
I think it'd be fun for him to see him like make a big play.
Yeah. And I don't mind the depth, obviously, at the DB position. I mean, we seem to be a cursed franchise when it comes to those injuries. I just knocked on wood. Don't freak out. So that'd be awesome to see him make that position and do well in this third preseason game. So I don't want to sound like an ungrateful fan, but I think we all have high expectations, and I want to talk about what do we think a winning season looks like?
Last year, I said, if we don't win 10 games, I will cut my arms off. And I'm glad we won 10 games. This year, I think we can certainly do something, reflective of what we did last year, but it's baby steps. I think we need to focus on the NFC North. That guarantees us into the playoffs. And, we control our own destiny once we're there. I think the NFC North is going to be very challenging. And as we talked, I think even last week, saying the NFC North might be one of the toughest. But I think that's what we need to win, because once we get in there, everybody knows we're good and we can do anything.
So, George, what are you putting on the line this time? If they don't win the NFC North, are you going to voluntarily get hit by a semi-truck?
No, I'd let it run over my legs at the knees.
Okay, good. I agree, though. I do think the NFC North is kind of the goal. I mean, obviously, you want to win the Super Bowl, and like that would be the ideal year. I don't think it's a failure I think it's only a failure if it's hard to say it'd be a failure if they didn't win the NFC North. I do. The Fatties aren't bad, but it's hard to say that like it would be a failure if they didn't win the NFC North, because it is a tough division this year. But I still see them winning it, and to me, it would be a bummer if they didn't get back to the NFC Championship game at minimum and put up a good fight again. With injuries and everything that happens throughout a year, it's not realistic to expect the Super Bowl unless you have Patrick Mahomes. But I think winning the NFC North, getting to that NFC title game, I think those two things would make me say, hey, we're still on the right track.
I think that's you guys already said it. To me, I think that a successful season, and it's kind of goes along with what you guys said, but it's just beating the Packers twice. I think if we beat the Packers twice and in dominant fashion, that's going to mean that we win the North. That's going to mean that showed our level of play and our ability to get back to NFC Championship game. I think that's the standard. And I just I don't know, like all of us, we watched FC Championship game last year. Lions deserve to be in the Super Bowl. Kind of a pun intended, but fumbled it away at the end. And I obviously that's a grand prize, but I want to just start small. I think that we've always have, and for better or worse, use the Packers as a measuring stick. And I think that the season's no different. And we march into Lambeau and beat them in, dominant fashion, and then the rest will fall into place.
Yeah, and it sounds like you and George both are the mindset of take it game by game, step by step, then knock out these NFC matchups first, and we'll get there. Man, we talk about progression and progressing every season like we have done. And I think the bar is winning the NFC Championship game. And I hate to be that. I hate to sound like a Dallas Cowboys fan because they're horrible people. And they say they're going to the Super Bowl every year. But if we don't genuinely win the NFC Championship game and make the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be irritated. I'm gonna be pissed. So I hate to sound like that, but one thing that I do think about too, and I hate this, that I feel this way to my core. We do always use the Green Bay Packers to measure up, kind of like how good we are, and as that big test of the year. But it's kind of like, how Michigan State fans, how you guys can't keep Michigan's meat out of your mouth. That's how I kind of feel as Detroit Lions fans with the Packers. Seriously, it makes it feel, I feel like little brother. I feel like, bro, we are literally better than them. And we are saying, as long as we beat them, we are literally better than them. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and I get your point because I feel the exact same way. Like when I turn on a game against the Vikings, it's like, oh, I really want to beat them, but I'm not genuinely enraged by watching this. When I turn on the Packers game and I see those fucking green jerseys, they piss me off. So I want to destroy that perception.
Hey, shout out Simone Biles for wearing Green Bay Packers gear out onto the Bears field this last weekend. I don't know if y'all saw that, but she had this. She was out there for her husband, Jonathan Owens, who was on Green Bay. Now he's on the Bears, but shout out. We got a chuckle out of that.
So let's backtrack a second here. Big guy over there. Notice who mentioned Michigan State, Michigan first. I just want to say that. Meat in the mouth. Also, I remember a bet about 2 or 3 years ago that a certain team would sweep another team in football and basketball.
Hey, I bet
the first 2 games went to the boys in green. So I just, but I agree that I don't like green when it's on the NFL field. I agree that I do not like green when it's on the NFL field. And quite frankly, I think it goes back to the truly tragic losses. If they had just been historically better, I don't think it would have been that frustrating. But that Aaron Rodgers just bunk call where the guy got an absolute ghost penalty for a win. That stuff where Brett Favre would come out of nowhere. When Matt Flynn all of a sudden decided that he was Tom Brady, that type of stuff, it just makes you really build up a hatred. And there's an in your DNA. I don't hate Packers fans, candidly. I think they're actually kind of nice compared to the other NFC North fans. Bears fans are just generally bad people. And Vikings fans are very whiny now for some reason. But Packers, the team, can all go take a bath in a volcano.
I
think the Packers owners could take a bath in a volcano too.
Yeah,
I get
Matt LaFleur is a dumpster fire. I don't. Great offensive coach. I hate him.
You guys are almost proving that they got space in your minds by talking about him so much.
Yeah,
I couldn't care less about them.
I agree.
Aaron Rodgers is gone. They're just another team.
Right. And so I think we should all have your mentality.
Yeah, I think the Bears are going to be a problem, and the Vikings could have been possibly, but you guys remember when we played Sam Darnold in his debut in the NFL? How exciting was that?
Oh, you mean when they beat the brakes off of us?
Yeah, it was annoying. It was disgusting to watch, and I cannot wait for this revenge game when we get to play the Vikings.
It's going to be good. Shout out to JJ. Gone too soon. So a fun thing I want to do here with you guys is bench, start, cut. So I got 3 players from the Lions. I'm going to go with J-Mo, Laporta, and Monty. You're having to build your fantasy football team. Bench, start, cut. Or should it be start, bench, cut? That sounds like a better order.
This isn't fantasy, you said?
Yeah. Think of yourself as a fantasy owner. 1 season. No dynasty league. Who are you choosing?
Well, for 1 season this year, I think you have to start with 4 because we don't have a tight end that's nearly as good as him. I think you have to bench Monty because, he's the two-headed monster is what makes the backfield great. And then as much as I think J-Mo will eventually be the second best or the best out of those 3, I think right now he's still the most unproven. So I don't know how you could start or bench J-Mo when you've got a guy who is an all-pro as a rookie and a guy who candidly is probably the most underrated running back in the NFL.
Take a step back here, Jim, because I think this is like a common theme right now, and just like in fantasy conversations across the league right now, and people have this expectation that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to rush for 1,000 yards, eat for another 1,000 yards, score all these touchdowns, and be like a first round fantasy pick. Man, I think that this coaching staff, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, believe him, and David Montgomery, that he's going to still get a significant amount of touches in the backfield. He's going to be the one, just like a few years ago when it was Jamal Williams scoring whatever it was, 17 touchdowns. That's going to be the Monty role. I love Jahmyr Gibbs just as much as the next guy, but there's no way that I'm cutting Monty. I think that the only acceptable answer is starting Laporta, benching Monty and cutting J-Mo. J-Mo's
that was my answer.
No, you said you're benching J-Mo.
No, I did not. You can go back and play it. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I quite literally did say
you guys had the
same thing.
Say, George? What do you say, George?
I think differently. I think I'm all due respect to these players because I love them all, but I'm cutting Monty. He's long gone. Are you kidding me?
All right, so I'm coming after you then, George.
I am cutting Monty.
Yeah, go after him.
We got another running back option, brother. They're taking points. No way, Jose. You know who I'm starting? Yeah. Waymo, baby. Come on, boomer bust. You're going to be regretting it if you don't choose him this year. You will.
Boomer bust?
Yeah. Laporta? Yeah, he can, I guess, he's benched in this scenario, I guess, but Laporta's great. We'll keep him around. He's a great tight end. Monty, he's good. He's awesome. Glad to have him. But
how much you want to bet Monty scores more touchdowns than Jahmyr Gibbs this year?
You want to make a bet?
I want to make a bet.
Let's make a bet right here, guys. Let's do it right here. How much?
I'll bet you $100.
I'll put on
the season.
Done.
Hey, you guys ready here? $100. We got Monty over.
Wait. Are we doing total touchdowns?
Oh,
total.
Okay.
What else are you going to do?
Rush touchdowns.
Rushing.
No. Yeah, running receiving, right?
Rushing, returning.
No.
Total touchdowns.
Don't help yourself.
You guys heard it here first. I think I have a different order. And to Drew, to your point, I'm just gonna double down on your point. What happened with Jamal Williams? What happened last year? They're going to feed the beast when they get within 5 yards of the end zone, and Monty is gonna get the ball, put his head down, and run it up Penny Sewell's ass into the end zone. Or Taylor Decker, it doesn't fucking matter. Or Laporta's ass. So I'm gonna go for right. Pause. No, keep it there. Push play. So what's gonna happen is this: I'm gonna choose Monty. I said 1 year as a fantasy owner. I'm keeping Monty. He's in my flex. I'm gonna put Laporta, bench him, and then hey, nobody's more of a JMO guy than me. Nobody. You gotta cut him.
Apparently not.
In this instance.
Gotta cut JMO.
In this instance.
Zay Rand's gonna take his spot, bro.
Jacob Smith is gonna take his spot, bro.
Yeah, Jacob Smith. I'd rather them try Jake Smith than Sudfeld. I'll tell you that.
Holy shit! Jacob Smith used to kill those fucking quarterback sneaks, man. Back in fifth grade.
Jake can still sling the rock. I've seen him.
That's my quarterback.
With those lanky arms.
I could pretty good back in the day. I could throw pretty good.
You honestly look like
So yeah, Jacob, what do you say? Bench or start bench cut?
I won't I won't talk to that just because I don't want to go too out into the weeds with you guys and get too technical.
Right.
But
You're analytical,
but what I will say is, from the average Lions fan perspective, what a successful season looks like.
Oh yeah.
This last season was the most exciting season of Lions football I've ever seen in my life. And I think what I want more than anything of wins or championships is just to watch more exciting football. Watch these guys actually play like they care.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. I want to be excited. I want the energy when you're in the bar and the game is on and they score and everybody jumps up and starts screaming. That's like the moment, you know.
I low-key love that.
Damn.
Exciting.
I think I just shed a tear. What the hell?
Damn, Jake.
Damn, Jake, you got to come on here more.
I'll be here next week.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.